What's good, family? What's good? It's your boy, the Urban Sports Guru. I'll holler at y'all this real quick. This is week 10. Week 10, if I'm not mistaken. If I am, correct me if I'm wrong. Week 10. I'm gonna let y'all know about my picks. This season's getting crazy. And I think, as expected, you're starting to see teams come into the fold. And I say that because there was no preseason. There was an abbreviated training camp. And the things that they were hoping to happen for certain teams that you weren't seeing early in the season, you're starting to see now. Like case in point, you're seeing the Saints defense look like the Saints defense that you expect. You know, a defense that's good against the run, and you know what I'm saying? And now you have Lattimore and Jack Rabbit and Malcolm Jenkins, a decent secondary. You know what I'm saying? You can play those kind of coverages, and you can match up against a team, even with all the weapons of a Tampa Bay Bucks. You can match up. You know what I'm saying? I don't think Carolina has those weapons defensively, and then I'm going to get to that in a second. You know, it's just an example of teams that you start to see things coming to the fold. All right, so let's get this started. We got the Browns against the Texans. Browns are coming off a bye. They're coming off a bye. Baker Mayfield is going to be able to play. He was released off the COVID list. And they got a road game after a bye. They're going to Houston. They're giving 2.5. I like Cleveland in this game. I like Cleveland in this game because Houston is just not a good football team. They're just not. I told y'all they weren't going to be good this year, and they're not. I feel sorry for Deshaun Watson because it's a wasted year in his career, and I don't want to see this be held against him come contract time because it's coming up for him. He deserves every penny he can get for dealing with Bill O'Brien. But they're just not a good football team. I mean, I told y'all for years they invested so many resources in the defense because they needed to, because they didn't have a quarterback. And they still was able to make the playoffs year in. They played in a soft division, and the defense was so good. You had a legendary defensive player in J.J. Watt, and he was able to build around him. And then they found this gift in Deshaun Watson, who should have never made it down to them in the draft, and he did. And because in reality, it should have been them picking Mitchell Trubisky. That's what should have happened. But the Bears did. Traded up to do it. You know, so they found this gift in Deshaun Watson, and now I think the reality is setting in that they have to steer the ship differently and start building around him and start building properly. But I understand Cleveland does not have Odell, but they had 2 weeks to prepare. I like the Browns. You got Washington at the Lions. Lions lost against Minnesota last week. Matt Patricia, I think, is coaching for his job. And Washington, they have a lot of things to figure out. They had a good second half against my Giants. They couldn't pull it out. They still need to figure out offensively what is it that they do well. Because outside of the front four and getting pressure on the quarterback, when you look at this football team, what do they do well? What is it? And they don't have really anything to hang their hat on. Detroit does have that because they have a damn good quarterback in Matthew Stafford. He's just been a victim of Detroit, basically. So I'm taking the Lions. Jaguars played a tough game last week. They played a really tough game last week against the Texans, and they still 1-7. I said they'll be 1-15 this year. Looked like they holding my prediction true. They almost had a chance to beat that by a game last week, but they damn sure ain't doing it this week. You know what I'm saying? They're going against Green Bay. Green Bay has had 10 days of preparation. Green Bay's given 13.5. This game's going to get ugly quickly. This game's going to get ugly. Sorry, it's going to get ugly. I'm taking the Packers. Now we have the Eagles against my Giants. Eagles have beaten my Giants 8 games in a row. 8 games in a row. So this will make 9. So we're talking that's about 4.5 years of beating us twice a year. Plus 1. Giants should have beat them early in the year if Evan Ingram just catch the fucking football. Should have beaten them. Could have, would have, should have. And now we at home. Eagles coming off of a bye. Giants coming off of a win. I'm taking my Giants not because they're my Giants. I'm taking my Giants for the simple fact of the offensive line is coming in the fold. if y'all paying attention. The offensive line to come in the fold, and like I said, we would have smoked Tampa Bay if Daniel Jones didn't. Daniel Jones, chill out with the mistakes. We smoked Tampa Bay. Guess what? Last week he didn't make the mistakes. We beat Washington. He doesn't make those mistakes, and guess what? Carson Wentz is going to make some mistakes. Even against a team like my Giants, Carson Wentz is going to make some mistakes. And when they lose this game, the bench Carson Wentz narrative is going to come right back up, because this is a guy with all the talent in the world, but he's trying to do too much. Yes, he's lost offensive linemen, he's lost his receivers, but these are games against the NFC East that he should win. And quiet as kept, the way he's been giving up the football, and quiet as kept, Giants are number 2 in the top 3 defensively when it comes to turnovers. That's a bad recipe. I like my boys. My Giants in the upset. We got the Bucks giving 6.5 to the Panthers. The original line was 5. Now it's gone all the way up to 6.5. Why? Because everybody's thinking just like I'm thinking. After Tampa got their ass cracked on national television at home, what do you think Tom Brady's going to do next? Tom Brady's going to put foot to ass. Everybody's thinking the same shit I'm thinking. And that's one of my locks for the week. Tampa's giving 6.5. Oh, they're going to win by at least 2 touchdowns. Why? All those weapons, Carolina can't stop a nosebleed in the secondary. Carolina secondary can't stop a nosebleed. Now they play KC tough, but here's the thing. Here's the things that really cements it home for me, as far as the Bucks gonna put foot to ass. You really think the Bucks defense is gonna play that bad 2 weeks in a row? Now I know Carolina is going to come with some things. Robbie Anderson, try to get some deep balls because of the way the defense looked the last 2 weeks. But I think defensively, I'm forgetting the DC's name. I think he's going to be ready for that. I think, especially no Christian McCaffrey. You take away Robbie Anderson as a deep ball, I don't think they can keep an eye. I don't think they score more than 20 points. I like Teddy Bridgewater. I do. Matt Rule's the coach. Yeah. I like Teddy Bridgewater, and I like what that coach is building down there, but I don't think they score more than 20 points. Maybe 14, 17 points. Bucks are going to score 30+. Cover. That's one of my locks for this week. I like the Bucks. And we got the Broncos at the Raiders. Quiet as kept. The Raiders are 5-3, and at the end of this, we'll be 6-3. Yes, Drew Lock looks good at times, but then sometimes, I don't know, sometimes to me he looks like Jay Cutler Part 2. Maybe because he plays in Denver. I don't know. He just looks like Jay Cutler Part 2. Without having as good an arm as Jay Cutler. Say what you want about Jay Cutler. He has probably one of the best arms you'll ever see. If you want to talk about arm talent, that term, yeah. Jay Cutler was that. It's just he was a whole lot of other things as well to go with it, but we'll leave that alone for now. But I'm taking the Raiders. We got Chargers at Dolphins. So we have Tua Tagovailoa against, I'm forgetting his name, the quarterback in the Chargers, who is surprising everyone. Because like me, I didn't see that in college. I mean, he looked to me like someone, I kept saying it, he looked like someone that passed the measurables test. And that's what was going to get him drafted number 1 or in the top 10. You know, kind of like a Mitchell Trubisky or, you know, some guys like that. They passed the measurable test. Oh, yeah, like a Sam Darnold. But he's balling. And it's crazy because they invested all these resources in their defense, and the defense is what's blowing the games. It ain't him. He's balling. He's second in the league in passing. But I'm going to take Miami because look at the way Miami's defense is playing. They're not blowing leads. If anything, Miami's defense is giving them leads. They're giving him leads. And Tua balled out last week. I think Tua took last week's game against Kyler Murray personally. I think Tua's going to take this game personally. I expect Tua to ball. And I expect Miami to keep shocking people and winning. We got the Bills at the Cardinals. This is going to be a damn good football game. This is going to be a damn good football game, but I'm taking the Bills. I'm taking the Bills because I don't think the Cardinals are ready yet. I think they're a year away. I think the Cardinals are a year away. Everybody was singing their praises. Cardinals is going to cover the playoffs, make some noise this year. Kyler Murray for MVP. I think they're a year away. I just do. I don't think they do enough defensively. I just don't see it. But a lot of teams aren't doing much defensively. I think defensively they're opportunistic. They're not good. They're opportunistic. And quiet as kept, it seems like Patrick Peterson is starting to slip. Patrick Peterson was the best corner in the game for a very long time, and it looked like he's starting to slip because teams are going after him this year. And before you go after Patrick Peterson, you paid for that shit. You paid for that with 6 points. Yeah. That's not happening this year. It looked like he's starting to slip. I could be wrong, but that's just what my eyes are telling me. But I like Buffalo. Buffalo has enough defensively, as far as studs defensively, to make enough plays in this game to win a shootout. I like Buffalo. Then we got the Seahawks at the Rams. Rams always play the Seahawks tough. Rams, I think the last 10 games, they're 7-3 against the Seahawks. And one of the reasons why they always play them tough is that Rams defensive line. And the fact that offensively they was always able, even with the Legion of Boom, they was able to run the football pretty effectively against Seattle. Todd Gurley wasn't running for no $150, but they was always able to run the ball effectively enough. And now you got Seattle who can't stop nobody. And you're asking Russell every single week to win shootout after shootout after shootout. And one of the things that you can always bet on in sports, okay, you bet on Tom Brady not losing 2 games in a row. Same thing with Russ. But here's the thing. That's when Russ had help defensively. He ain't got that help defensively. And I don't think you can go through that division without having help defensively. I'm taking the Rams. Now we got the 49ers at the Saints. That's my other lock for the week. Yes, the 49ers have had 10 days of preparation, having getting smoked on national television against Green Bay last Thursday. But you're playing against, this is the time of the year where the Saints start looking like the Saints and they go on a 4 or 5 game run. But they just beating mule shit out of people. And this is going to be one of those games. 49ers have so many people not playing. Deebo Samuel's not going to be playing. He just got ruled out. So many people not playing. They're not going to be able to compete. I think it's going to look good early because I think Kyle Shanahan's going to have a good game plan. But just talent for talent, this is not close. This is not a fair fight. This will not be close. This is going to be an ass whooping. It's my other lock for the week, 4 o'clock. Saints over the 49ers. Now we got the Bengals at the Steelers. Steelers giving 7.5. I think Big Ben's going to play. I say this again. I think Big Ben's going to play. I've heard conflicting things. I'm not really sure. I can't really remember off the top of my head. I can't really remember. But Steelers defensively has gotten exposed a bit these last couple of weeks. Offensively, when Big Ben is playing, against good teams, they don't able to run the football. But Big Ben, you're able to throw it. You're able to chuck it around the field, spread them wide. My issue with the Pittsburgh Steelers, I still got them in my top 5 as the best team in football right now because they're undefeated. My issue with the Pittsburgh Steelers is the health of Big Ben Roethlisberger. And I think he's going to play. I think he's taken off the COVID list or whatever. But can he make it through the season? That's been my issue. That's why I didn't have him ranked so high coming into the season because I understand what everyone was saying, but is this motherfucker going to make it through the year? That's my main thing. I did not expect him to even make it this far without missing a couple of games. He's doing a good job getting rid of the football. But if he's healthy, I understand the divisional game, and Joe Burrow is balling. He's making the Cincinnati Bengals look respectable. I'm going to say that again for a fact. Joe Burrow is making the Cincinnati Bengals look respectable. That's a lot. That's a whole lot to say right there. But I'm still taking Steelers. I just don't think they'll cover that 7.5. But I'm still taking the Steelers. Then we got the Ravens at the Patriots. The Ravens, what's happening to the Ravens is what I told y'all was happening in the beginning of the season. Defenses are catching up to that offense. Now you got Lamar Jackson talking in public. That's crazy, though. In public, talking about, hey, guys are calling out our plays. Why? Because you run a college offense. And these motherfuckers had a whole off season to prepare for this shit with you. They're ready for you now. They still in my top 5 because all around they're they're a great football team. But I don't think they're a real championship contender. They don't. And a light bulb hit for me, even as midst everything Lamar Jackson was doing, because last year was their window. I was watching the game against Tennessee. There was a late third quarter, fourth quarter, and I spoke about this. Y'all check my old videos. And late fourth quarter, you're down like 2 touchdowns, and you're running read option. And I said this to myself. I said, you're down 2 touchdowns. They was down at least 2 touchdowns. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing running read option? You're down 2 touchdowns. What are you running read option for? And I saw 2-3 plays later, I saw Lamar Jackson throw an interception. I was like, you know what? That's why they run a read option. That's why. Their passing game is the big running. Their passing game, unless Lamar is throwing into huge, huge windows, their passing game is basically getting these huge runs from Lamar. That's their passing game. That's the big plays. Big plays supposed to come from the passing game, but that's their offense, getting these big, huge runs from the running game with Lamar. And in these kind of games, you can't really rely on that. If Belichick had all his defenders, I would take the Patriots, but they don't. And the Patriots have a hard time stopping the run. So I'm still going to take Baltimore. Last but not least, we have the Vikings at the Bears, divisional game. I expect the Bears to put up a much better fight than they did last week against Tennessee. I don't like Tennessee moving forward as far as being a real championship contender because they don't have a really great defense. But guess what? When you play the Bears, you look like a great defense. It just is what it is. I think Nick Foles is still going to be in the starting spot, but he lays an egg in this game. I think he's going to get pulled. That's just my humble opinion, and I think they're wasting a great defense. Yet once again, I hate to see great defensive teams like this get wasted away. I really do. It really fucks with me. I think about all those great defenses they had in Baltimore, and they got wasted away with the Kyle Bowlers of the world, and this is what's happening right now in Chicago. They got a great defense that's getting wasted away. I understand. Take away Dalvin Cook, then you got Kirk Cousins. I take Kirk Cousins right now over Nick Foles. Why? Kirk Cousins has a better offensive line, and he has more weapons. Taking Minnesota. It's your boy, Urban Sports Guru. Hit me a like. Hit the subscribe. See me in the comments. I'm out. Salute.